Hello students, this is the fourth video of the capacitor series. Till now in the last three videos we have discussed about the capacitance, okay? Especially in the third video we have discussed about the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor for all possible cases, with dielectric, without dielectric, when dielectric partially fills the gap and there is a conducting slab, all those cases, okay? So if you haven't checked them out, link is in the description. Okay, so in today's video we are going to discuss about the energy stored in a capacitor. See, our ultimate aim from the initial classes is that a capacitor is a device which stores energy. So the whole thing is about energy, okay? So this is very important discussion because now we have finally reached the energy discussion. Okay, so let say this is our capacitor. Suppose this is our uncharged capacitor. We have taken a capacitor and it is uncharged. That means initially let's say the charge on the plates is 0. There is no charge in the plate. Now what I do, in order to charge this capacitor, I will connect it with a battery. So let's say I have connected it with a battery of EMF V0 with a key. Okay, so in order to start the charging process, I will have to close the key. As soon as I close the key here, this battery will start sending the charge towards the capacitor. Now the question rises, why will battery send the charge towards the capacitor plate? So let's understand this from the very basic concept we have studied earlier. See, if you see properly here, the charge on this capacitor plate is how much? 0, which means that the potential of this plate is how much? 0. Since there is no charge, there is no potential. But if you see the battery here, this is the positive plate of the battery, this is the negative terminal of the battery. Okay, so this one is positive, and since the battery is of EMF V0, so I can take the potential of this battery is V0, and hence the potential of this negative terminal will become 0, because this V0 is the potential difference between the plate. We will learn about the cell and EMFs in detail in our third chapter, so don't bother. Till now only use this concept. Suppose if you are given a battery, this one, and let's say the potential difference or the EMF of the battery is 2 volt. Okay, not potential difference, EMF is 2 volt. So this 2 volt is basically the potential difference between both the plates. See, it is not the potential of single plate, either positive or, it is the difference of potential between both the plates. Okay, we don't know exactly what is the potential of each plates, so you can assume the potential of each plate accordingly as per your choice. Suppose someone wants to take the potential of positive plate as 2 volt, so of course the potential of the negative plate will be 0 because the difference would be 2. But someone might take the potential as 10 volt, so then in that case the potential of the negative plate will become 8 volt. So it is your choice, whatever you want to choose, but most of the cases this is preferred. We take the potential of the negative plate as 0 and positive plate as V0. So this is the case here. Since the EMF of the given cell is V0, that's why the potential of this positive terminal of the cell is V0 and the potential of the negative terminal of the cell is 0. Now if you see properly, this positive plate of this cell is connected through this plate of the capacitor, and we all know that when two conductors are connected from each other with some wire, a conducting medium, and one conductor is at higher potential and one conductor is at the lower potential, then charge will flow. So here in this given diagram, if you see, our cell, the positive plate of our cell or battery is at higher potential, that is V0, and the plate of our capacitor is at zero potential. That's why charge will flow from this terminal of the battery towards this plate. So now you must have understood why there is a flow of charge, why this capacitor will get charged when we connect it with some battery, with some source of EMF, with some source of charge. Okay, and now one more thing, will this battery give the charge forever to this capacitor, or it will stop after some time? Just think about it, what is going to happen later. This is the initial condition. Okay, now the charging has started. Is it going to take forever? That means charge will always keep on storing in the capacitor, or there will come some point when the charging will stop? Yes, it will stop at some point. See why? As you see properly, this positive terminal of batteries keep on sending the positive charge towards this plate. That means on this positive plate of the capacitor, a positive charge will start on accumulating, because the battery is sending a positive charge towards it. So this plate will acquire a positive charge. As a result of this positive charge, this another plate will acquire a negative charge due to induction. Okay, cool. So this is the whole thing we are getting here. Now, as soon as this battery is sending the charges towards this plate of the capacitor, the charge is growing on the plate of the capacitor with time. Clear? Because the more charge battery will send, the more charge will accumulate on the plate. And since the more charge is accumulated, more energy is going to be stored between the capacitor. Okay. So the question is, why this process will stop? So if you see properly, since the charge is growing on this plate of capacitor, so its potential will also grow. See, and a time will come when the potential of this plate of the capacitor become equals to V naught, which is the potential of this positive terminal of the battery. And this is the case, this is the time when the flow of charge will stop, because both the conductors now are at same potential. See, this is simple. So when the potential of the capacitor plate become equal to the potential of the positive terminal of the battery, in that case there will be no further flow of the charge, and we will say now the capacitor is fully charged, it will not take charges further. So this is all about the charging process. Okay, so you must have understood how the charging is taking place in a capacitor. See, initially when we connect the battery will send the charge towards the positive terminal or towards the plate of the capacitor, and with the time charge will grow. A time will come when the potential difference across the capacitor become equals to the EMF of the battery. At that time the process of charging is over, and the capacitor will not further take any charge from the battery. And this will only happen when V will becomes V naught, or in other words we can say that when the potential difference across capacitor will become equals to the EMF of the cell. Clear? Okay, one more thing. Is the rate of flow of charge in the circuit will always be same, or it will reduce? See, initially when there is no charge in the plate of capacitor, at that time the rate of flow of charge by the battery will be very large. See, because the difference in potential is very large initially, but with the time this difference of potential between the battery and the capacitor will reduce, hence the rate of flow of charge will reduce gradually. Clear? So what I am saying, in other words, you can also understood this way also. Let's say at any time t, this is the condition of our capacitor. This is at some time t. Okay, so at some time t during the charging process, let the capacitor has got some charge small q. At this time, let's say the potential difference between the plates is small v. Now suppose after this time t, let the battery send a small charge dq. So suppose now battery sends a very small charge towards the positive plate. Okay, because now the charging is not stopped, it is some intermediate time during the charging process. So will this capacitor happily accept this charge or it will oppose? Yes, it will oppose. Why? See, you can clearly see that already there is some positive charge in this plate, and since the battery is sending a positive charge, this plate will repel this dq charge. It will not allow this dq charge to come towards it. Clear? That's why when this capacitor will oppose the coming of this dq charge, that's why battery will have to do some work in order to send this charge dq to the capacitor. And when some external agent do some work in storing a charge in a system, that work is stored as the potential energy of that system. So everything is clear now. Why there is a storage of energy between the capacitor? It is clear now, because with the time the capacitor will oppose the charging process, due to which the battery will have to do some work to charge the capacitor, and this work done by the battery to charge the capacitor will be stored as the potential energy of the capacitor. Clear? So this is the whole charging process. So we know, so it is clear now the charging process. Okay, let's come to the derivation part for the potential energy. So from the discussion till now, it is clear to us, in order to calculate the potential energy stored within the capacitor, between the plates of capacitor, we have to calculate the work done by the battery to charge it. Is it clear or not? Yes. So let's find out the work done by the battery to charge the capacitor. Okay, so let some instant t, we will use this instant for the derivation purpose. So let at some time t during the charging process, the charge on this capacitor plate is small q and the potential difference between the plate is v. And now let a battery further sends a charge dq. So in order to further send this charge dq, battery will have to do some work. So let's say the small work done by the battery in sending this charge dq to the capacitor is given by dw, and which is equals to v dq. See, why v dq? We have used the formula of work done, that is q delta v. So in this condition, the charge which is going to sent by the battery is dq. So in place of q, I have put dq. And now at this instant, the potential difference between the plates is v. That's why in place of delta v, I have put v here. Clear? Now, so this is the small work done by the battery to send a small charge dq to the capacitor. Now, since we know that C equals to Q by V, that's why V will equals to Q by C. So put V equals to Q by C in the expression of dW. So putting Q by C, okay. So this is the expression, this is the small work done. So suppose the battery sends a total charge Q to the capacitor during the whole charging process. So suppose when the time will come and the capacitor gets fully charged, at that case, let's say the final charge on the capacitor plates is plus Q and minus Q. That means now that the charging will stop. This will be the final charge on the capacitor. So let's say capital Q is the total charge supplied by the capacitor, the total charge supplied by the battery, okay, to the capacitor. So let battery supply a full charge Q to the capacitor. So that's why the total work done by battery in supplying the total Q charge. Okay, so in order to supply the total Q charge to the capacitor, the work done by the battery will be given by integration of dW. Sorry, this is not dQ, this is integration dW. See, we have derived the work done for small charge dQ. Now for the whole charge capital Q, we have to integrate it. So integrate this expression, limits will be 0 to capital Q, because initially the charge was 0, final charge is capital Q. So C is constant capacitance, take it outside, and Q is the variable here. Integrate Q dQ, it will be Q square by 2. Put the limits. After putting the limits, you will get the final expression of work done as half Q square by C. So this is the work done by the battery in charging the capacitor up to charge capital Q, half Q square by C. And this work done will be stored as the potential energy of the capacitor. That's why the expression of potential energy equals to U. I have denoted the potential energy with U, which is equals to half Q square by C. So this is one of the formula of the potential energy. Let's find out the other form of the potential energy. So C, we know that C barabar Q by V. So that's why we can write Q barabar CV. Q equals to CV. Put Q equals to CV in the above equation 3. So if you put Q equals to CV and if you solve it out, you will get the another form of the potential energy formula, that is half CV square. So this formula is in terms of capacitance and potential difference. Above formula was in terms of charge and capacitance. This formula is in terms of capacitance and the potential difference. Now the third form of the energy will be in terms of the charge and the potential difference. Only that pair is remaining. So if in order to obtain the formula in terms of the charge and the potential difference, put C equals to Q by V in this equation 4. So when you put C equals to Q by V, you will get the final expression of U as half QV. So these are the three different forms of potential energy formula. We will be using all three of them when there is some requirement. So these are the three different formula for the potential energy of a parallel plate capacitor: half QV, half CV square, and half Q square by C. So first one is in terms of Q and V, second one is in terms of capacitance and potential difference, and the third one is in terms of the charge and the capacitance. Clear? So you must remember all three of them, because all three have their own importance in variety of questions later. So this is all about the expression of potential energy of a capacitor. Now there is another term called energy density, which is denoted by U bar. Okay, so this is also important. That means what is the density of energy between the plates. Okay, so how do we define the energy density? Let's define it. So the energy density is defined as the energy stored per unit volume of the capacitor. See, between the plates there is a space in which there is electric field. So our electrical energy is stored in that space, in that volume. So what is the electrical energy stored per unit volume of the capacitor? Okay, so that is the energy density of our capacitor. So the energy density is the energy stored per unit volume of the capacitor. Okay, so mathematically this energy density formula is becomes U bar equals to U by V. Here U is the total energy, total potential energy, and V is the volume of the capacitor. So the unit of energy density will become joule per meter cube. Of course the unit of U is J, joule, and the unit of the volume is meter cube. So the SI unit of energy density is joule per meter cube. Okay, so now the next important thing is prove that the energy density between the plates of a capacitor is given by half epsilon naught E square. This is an important result, you must remember it also, but right now we have to prove it, that the energy density between the plates of a parallel plate capacitor is given by half epsilon naught E square. Clear? So let's do it. So let's start the revision from the basic formula of the energy density. So we know that the basic formula of energy density is U bar is U by V. Now we have three formula of U: half CV square, half QV, half Q square by C. We can use any one of them now. Okay, it's your choice which path you want to take, which formula you are more comfortable with. Okay, so let's take U equals to half QV. Okay, so I have taken U equals to half QV, and V is what? Volume. Okay, let me tell you one more thing. What is the volume between the capacitor plates, or the volume of the capacitor? See, these are the plate, and this is the region in which the energy is stored, this region between the plates. So what is the volume of this region? So clearly the area of this region is the plate area A, and the thickness of this region is how much? D. That's why the volume of this region between the plate is how much? A into D. So that's why the volume of the capacitor in which the energy is stored is A into D, where A is the plate area and D is the separation between the plates. So put volume equals to A into D here. So when you put volume equals to A into D, the expression will become something like this. Mark this as equation 1. Now, our aim is to derive the formula of energy density in terms of epsilon naught and electric field intensity E. That means we have to bring E and epsilon naught in the expression and have to remove the other terms. So let's do it. So if you see, we know that V equals to E into D, because we have to bring the E in the expression, and there is V already in the expression in equation 1. So first let's convert V into E. So put V equals to E into D. So when we'll put V equals to E into D, the expression will look like this. This D will get cancelled out. So now the expression remains half QE by A. Now still there is no epsilon naught in this expression. We have to bring it somehow, and we have to remove Q and A from here. So just think of some way by means of which you can remove this Q and A. Now, so by looking directly, one thing comes into mind directly, that Q by A is sigma. So let's do that. Let's put Q by A equals to sigma, and let this is the equation 2. Now still we don't need sigma in our expression, we need epsilon naught. So what do we do to bring epsilon naught here? So one formula comes into our mind, and that is E equals to sigma by epsilon naught. We all know that between the plates of a capacitor, E is given by sigma by epsilon naught. So from here you can take sigma equals to E into epsilon naught and put this value of sigma in this equation 2 here, and when we put it, we will get our final expression, that is U bar equals to half epsilon naught E square. So I hope you have understood the concepts I told today. So this is all about the today's video. In the next video we will discuss the combination of capacitor, that is series combination, parallel combination, and all those things. So thank you so much.